Test. My fingers are getting too sweaty. I'm losing it. Heal. Hurry. Jump. Fuck. Oh, God. This is so fucking brutal. No. That's one down. Yes. Yes. Oh, God. This is so fucking brutal. Woo. No. Oh, my God. That's one down. You're not even supposed to be able to do that shit. Yes! Yes! Oh, God, this is so fucking brutal! Woo! Get in here, y'all. Everybody get in here. Text. No, we want video post. Video post. Making sure that if anybody's not in the Discord, they still know the live stream is going. Hey, we live, bitches. Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to the live stream every month. Getting everything set up, making sure it all works. I'm always amazed that anything works. Every time I manage to make this work, because I fucked it up the first time, and I don't remember what I changed to make it work. So I'm always expecting this to go wrong. Do I sound good? Everybody? Sound is good? Everything's good? I see the chat. I see people are here. Let's go for it. Go ahead and start asking me questions. We'll start. Untitled Bridger asks, just so we clear, are you the big boob girl or the small boob girl in your relationship with May? I'm the big boob girl. May does not have super big boobs, so it would have to be me with the big boobs. You know. So that's the only way that would make sense. Make an album of this humming, bro. I could totally make a humming album. I was thinking about, if I say this, it'll probably never happen, but then I completely forgot until this moment, so maybe it would have never happened anyways by sheer forgetfulness. I was thinking about making an entire album of acapella Mastodon covers. For those of you who watched my top 5 extreme metal songs video, you will have seen my relatively half-assed Crystal Skull cover at the end of that video. I thought about doing a whole album of half-assed Mastodon vocal covers. Wouldn't take that long. I probably could do it in like, I want to say I could do it in a day, but honestly I destroyed my voice doing just the one for that video, so maybe it would take a while. Sound is good, good stuff. The live stream that is 80% more likely to go live compared to the roundup. That's true. The roundup, I kept forgetting to do it. I even had time set aside for it. I think the reason I forgot is that I didn't have my calendar open to the correct month. See, and you guys are free to ask as many questions about this as you want, because I'm always excited to talk about it. And the next Digi Does Life, the one that'll come out next Tuesday, I think, I talk about this extensively, that I've got this epic schedule here. I've got this this schedule that goes all the way through the end of the year. And not all of it's complete. Like, not all of the schedule for the rest of the year has everything I'm going to make in it. Because a lot of stuff's spur of the moment, and there's some podcasts I might not have planned yet. But, like, here's the September schedule. So you'll see that all of my weekly podcasts are in there, the Patron podcasts, all the different shows I do, every episode of Scoring shows, and as you can see, it is all complete. The only stuff that's not complete is stuff that can't be done ahead of time, like Rixty Minutes and Insufferable Social Media Argument, like stuff that I need somebody else for. But everything else is complete. You can see I've got like topics for Digi and May and stuff like that up there, and for Digi Does Life. So yeah, But because I have already completed everything on the schedule that could be done beforehand, I've already moved on to October, which, as you can see, has a lot of shit crossed off already. There is stuff done for the last week of October that I've already completed. So I'm way ahead of myself in schedule. But because of that, the stuff that was meant to come out, like, you know, like the content roundups, those have to fall. Like, I can't do that ahead of time because I don't know what content's going to be out until the time comes. Was the video just like weirdly skipping for you guys? Yeah, it says my kilobytes per second is pretty low. Hopefully it's not causing any audio issues. Let me know if any audio issues happen. I'll try to notice as fast as possible. So it's just video distortion. That's good. Yeah, so the fuck was I saying? Yeah, the content roundups. Like, I'm always late with those because of the fact that sometimes I think I'll save it for another week because there's a specific video I want to wait for it to be out or something. And then other times I just forget. And then if I forget for a couple of days, and it's like, well, I might as well now just wait till the end of the month. You know, like, if I made a content roundup today, then there's only a week left of stuff that would be in there, which, I mean, is fine. I guess 1 week is what they're supposed to be. But now we're going to have a, 2.5 weeks one, and then a 1 week one. It's just weird, you know? It'd be weird, but I might do one by the end of tonight if I find the chance, if I don't get distracted. But yeah, my beautiful schedules. They've been my life's blood for all of September. And will be for the rest of the year, I think. Okay, now there's plenty of shit that you guys have talked about that I can go through. How was your day? I had a great day. I had a great day hanging out with May downtown in the cool anime part of town, as I like to call it. You know, she had the whole weekend off. Yesterday we spent all day getting high and watching fun stuff. And then today we went to a bubble tea place, and that was cool. Like an Asian bubble tea, like one of those cool cafes, like lots of board games and shit. We played chess. I won insofar as the game ran until we had like 2 pieces left apiece, and we were just going in circles, and May was like, I forfeit. I was like, yep, we were both terrible at chess. Then we what the fuck did we do after that? We went to the mall and did nothing. And then we went to a nice Italian restaurant and Italian, but there was a lot of A going on, a lot of A at the Italian, because May's Italian, so she has an eye for good Italian food. So we went to a fancy Italian restaurant, but because it was way more expensive than I expected, we just split a dish. It turns out it's really easy to do that. They'll just give you the dish in 2 separate plates. They know people will go there and split the dish, and it was fantastic. All the food there was fantastic. I don't remember the name of the place though. There was a good I think Kabbalah's, something like that. One of my favorite restaurants in the area. There's a lot, but this was a good one. The Italian. There's 2 great Italian places I've been through here. There's a big Italian population in Rochester. So we went to an Italian restaurant, then we went on a poop quest. We went to see where we could poop. I had to poop. So we were like, because we walked out of the restaurant, and then it was only afterwards I was like, shit, I gotta poop. And I was like, where do we go? And she was like, you go to the places in the mall. You go to the big stores, like the Sears or the JCPenney, and they tend to have a nicer bathroom that's like more out of the way. So we walked into JCPenney, but their bathroom was crowded. There was a bunch of people rushing for the JCPenney bathroom. We were like, fuck. So we walked all the way across the mall to the Sears to use that bathroom, and then walked all the way back to leave. And I was like, there was probably a less complicated way to do this, but in the end, I pooped. And then we went to Hammer Girl Anime, and I bought like 5 new manga. I can show you. Here's an exclusive preview of some Manga Mondays that probably won't come out until like either November or December, because Manga Mondays is scheduled way ahead of itself currently. But these are interesting. Oh, there's also candies in here that we completely forgot about. I picked up this thing called Choco Mimi, which is a Viz Kids manga about two little girls who are way into fashion. And it looked so fucking adorable that, like, I could not resist it. Then I picked up Pilgrim Jaeger Volume 1 because the cover art looks fucking awesome. And then I noticed it's written by fucking To Ubukata, who you may know as the writer of Psycho Pass 2 and Ghost in the Shell Rise, as well as Marduk Scramble. Very inconsistent quality. Then this thing called King of Wolves, which is fucking Kentaro Miura and Buranson. So the creator of Berserk and the creator of Fist of the North Star. I had no idea this existed. Then I picked up this because it's called Not Love, But Delicious Food Make Me So Happy. Obviously the title alone sold me on that one. And then this thing, Aranzi Machine Gun, which is like, there's some weird company called Aranzi that just makes like these like magazines, as they call them, that are like multiple different styles in one. This page just says smile on it. What the hell is happening? I think somebody came by the house. I think May might have called her sister because she knew that I was going to be live streaming. Anyway, so those are the mangas that I picked up. What else is the next question? Eccentric Family. What's the ETA of it actually being watched? I have no idea. I have no plans exactly to watch it. So, I mean, maybe I'll watch it as part of Finish or Fail so I can watch season 2. I have no idea. Finally gave in and started getting dick in my ears thanks to you, Digi. That's great. Dick is my favorite in the world. Untitled Bridger's jealous of my schedule. I know, it's beautiful. Do you have more free time now that May is in college all the time? I do. I have, well, define free time, because that's my work time, is when she's gone. Like, typically I do work, like, I basically try to do all my work at times when she's either working or in school, so that we can just hang out when she's home. Like, occasionally there's a time where that doesn't work. Like, I had to do a live stream. Pretty much a weekend was going to be the only time that's good to do a live stream, that everybody's going to be, like, available. And she was off all weekend, so we've been hanging out all weekend, and I was like, well, this is where I'll have to do a live stream somewhere in there. But usually I try to do all my work when she's either at school or at work, or I stay up a lot later than she does and work while she's in bed. So basically the window of time between when she gets home from work and when she goes to bed is usually a time that we hang out. Everything else is when I do my work. So yeah, it depends on how you define free time. What shows are a part of the Digi's favorite anime series? Anything that's got a 10 on my anime list, as in not on like the complete list that's in the description, but like if it has a 10, then it'll be in the series. So there should be 13 total. Any comments on Feeding the Content Machine podcast that me and Wada did? Yeah, it was good. I enjoy that kind of feedback. It's nice to hear the opinions of people who actually like follow my stuff, because like I do like getting criticism, but I need it to be from people who understand what I'm going for in the first place, you know? Like, I think that people always say the phrase constructive criticism. I think criticism can only be constructive if you understand what the guy's going for, you know? Like, if I say, oh, your book is a bad fantasy novel, but like what they're going for is a meta novel or something, you know, like, I have to understand the intentions. And so many of my critics don't really understand what I'm going for because they only see like a couple of videos. They don't really understand the overall message. And like, I really write my videos for my fans, or for my audience, like this sort of niche, the patrons, essentially, you know? So, like, I'm more worried about how do the patrons feel about my work than I am how does some guy on the street feel about my work, you know? So, when you guys have different, like, criticisms of the videos, or just, like, hearing what you liked or didn't like about them, or even just knowing what are your favorites, like, the fact that both Wada and Gunts in this podcast said that like one of their favorite videos from me is the Bathos vlog, which is like the most digibro thing possible, but totally would be alien to like a mainstream audience. That's where I know, like, okay, this is who's my patrons. The people who want something that's like a pure distillation of digibro, but not just not just digibro for the sake of itself, which is what stuff like you know, the like mailbag videos or something like that isn't really a digibro expression. It's just kind of me reading fan mail, and like if you happen to like everything I do, or just want to hear my voice, then that's fine. But like, you know, what you really value is when it's the combination of the digibro weirdness but with a point to make, or like in service of something, like with some kind of underlying narrative to it. And that's why, like, you know, it's interesting to see which stuff I can get away with which crowds. Like, I don't think the Patreon crowd is the most into a series like scoring shows. Like, you guys might watch it but not feel that invested. But scoring shows is great for view counts on Digibro After Dark, because the broader audience of that channel cares a lot about my thoughts on anime and just wants to hear me review shows all the time. So, like, those videos get tons of views and a really great reception among that channel's general audience, but not necessarily with specifically the Patreon sect of it, and then also not with the Digibro audience who wants stuff that's more, like, defined and structured. So at this point, there's kind of this, like, breakdown of, like, the stuff that's on the After Dark channel is more like that, the stuff that's on the Digibro channel is this other thing, and then the stuff that's Patron-exclusive is, like, a whole other different world. And right now, I think the biggest trouble I'm facing with, like, growth is that it's hard to communicate to people who aren't patrons what the patrons are experiencing, because the patrons are the only group that really matters, since you guys are the ones who pay me. Everyone else is like just kind of there. It's more for clout, I guess, which could be important in the future if I end up in endeavors grander than what I have so far. But like, you know, so like, what the fuck am I saying? Yeah, I'm planning to do more videos that are like, where I take parts from the Patreon podcasts and release them as like advertisements for the Patreon podcasts. Because there's a lot of people outside the Patreon who have been making criticisms like, I really miss the Digi-vlogs that were like about a thing, like just exploring a single idea and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's just because Digi Does Life is that now. Like, I get all those ideas out in Digi Does Life, and then there's no need to make a vlog out of it. So I think that's probably part of why. Just the sheer number of other things I'm doing. And also Digi in May has a lot of those ideas in it. The Let's Plays. Okay, let's see. What are your favorite restaurants in the area, as you asked earlier? There's a place called Pizza Stop. That's the best pizza I've had so far. One of the best New York slices I've ever had. The Italian restaurant we just went to, but I don't remember the name of it. Nor do I remember the name of the other one. There's two great Italian places. Favorite outright. There's one called... There's like a sub place called Pino's that's pretty good. I don't know, it's hard to pick favorites. There's not a lot of places I've gone back to multiple times. So unless it leaves a really strong impression on me the first time, then it's hard to say. I'll get back to you in a couple months. Are you supposed to do things at malls? I thought their only purpose was to waste time and money. I like the mall. I've always been a huge fan of the mall, except that there's not enough stores that are for me. Like, I love the idea of just walking around a place full of, like, little micro cultures in a way. Like, you look at each store and it's, like, projecting a certain image of, like, a type of person. And I think that's fascinating. Obviously the only places I ever go to are GameStop, FYE, and Barnes & Noble in the mall, but like, you know, that's who I am. I'm that character. I'm the guy who's going to the nerd places, you know, or going to the bookstore. So, Yeah, and I just like, I like wandering around, but feeling like I'm wandering with some degree of purpose. Like, I guess a mall has an ending. Like, if you just walk around outside, it's free form. You just walk until you're kind of tired and feel like you should go back, unless there's like a specific point you can walk to. In a mall, you basically walk down all the hallways, and then once you're done, you leave. You know, and it takes about half an hour, and it's just a fun little way to get some walking in and see some stuff. You know, I like looking at stuff. I love shopping. There just isn't enough stores in the mall that actually have things I want to shop for, but I'm a big time shopper. Just not a big time actual buyer. What is the plan for getting May out of Rochester by the end of these 6 months? We are leaving at the end of May, the end of the month of May in next year. That's when our lease goes up. She has no desire to be here. The only reason we're in Rochester is because she has to finish school. She's trying to finish her degree. And as soon as she gets the associates, we book, because she has no interest in being here. I think she's had more fun here with me being here than she ever had beforehand, because she didn't have a license until like a couple weeks ago. And we like basically like she viewed the city as, I think, bigger than it is. Like, she's lived here for like 9 years and hadn't been to most of the places we've gone. You know, like, just didn't have like the means to get around or the money or people to go with. Like, her friends were not very adventurous, whereas I am. So I, like, every time I even hear about a new place, I'm like, we have to go check it out, you know? So yeah, like, we're basically trying to exhaust Rochester by the time we leave. Like, I want to go everywhere and see everything, and then get bored of it all, and then we take off. So, which I haven't really done that much. Like, we mostly hang out in our town. We haven't done much going into, like, the actual city. Poop Quest 2, the reshitting. Poon Poon, please. Poon Poon's still coming out, man. Like, because I do Manga Mondays as a buying the volume show. And Poon Poon's a manga that, A, the volumes are expensive. It's like $25 to buy one volume. And there's 7 of them out. And if I just bought volume 1 and talked about it, all anybody's going to tell me about is what happens later. All anybody's going to have to say is, oh, you got to read the rest. You got to read the rest. And I'm going to go, well, that's kind of not what Manga Mondays is about. Manga Mondays is more about reading a couple of volumes that I picked up at the store because they looked cool, and then reviewing them. You know, it's not usually about reading an entire series. So that's why it's harder for me to talk about stuff like Poon Poon, because, like, you know, like, it would be one thing if it was a manga no one had heard of, and I could just read volume 1 and, like, tell other people to go read the rest and come back to tell me. Like, I just did one the other day on Biomega, because it's a manga I've had for a long time, but I only have volume 1. And so I just did a video on volume 1, because even though it's a completed series, I don't think there's going to be a ton of people who have either A, read it, or B, have strong enough opinions about it to, like, demand that I read the rest before offering an opinion on it. So yeah, that's why I haven't done Poon Poon yet. I fucking hate the only manga store near me is Barnes & Noble. I ain't gonna find any weird manga there. Yeah, I'm really shocked by how much weird stuff is at Hammer Girl. Like, you know, in my town, there was, in my previous town in Virginia Beach, there was, like, Barnes & Noble and then a comic store called Trilogy. And Trilogy had lots of old stuff. Like, it had tons of shit from the 90s and, like, weird stuff that you might not find in a normal store. But nothing, like, I don't know, their catalog rarely changed. Like, they would get new arrivals of popular manga, but, like, they would never get, like, they might have volumes 2 through 8 of something on the shelf forever and never get volume 1, you know, like, so it was really hard to buy shit there. Hammer Girl has a really odd selection, because most of it's new, and, like, they have a used section where they sell some older shit. Most of it's new, but they also get, like, everything from every publisher. So you'll get stuff that I've just never seen at fucking Barnes & Noble, because it's, like, from a publisher who's not widely distributed enough, you know? So that's what's interesting about it. I've got no manga shops near me, period. That's a shame. Been watching really fucking obscure shows recently. Have you ever heard of Kirin the Noop? Nope, I've never heard of Kieran the Noop. You mentioned that you like what you like about Dick on multiple occasions, but to someone who's a fan of yours but a fairly skeptical towards him as a personality, how would you recommend him? That's difficult, because I think what gets you into Dick is just hearing enough of him when he gets real. The thing about Dick is that he's very, like, he's a comedian first and foremost, and he likes to have fun. He doesn't like to get serious. He's very anti talking about serious things. But when he does, you realize he has a really nuanced perspective on things that's not quite the same as most of what you're going to hear. And so when he finally starts talking about those more nuanced stances, it's extremely eye-opening for me. Especially because of the fact that he's sort of a libertarian conservative, which I grew up completely liberal and have never heard anyone on that side of the aisle talk with any eloquence, because they're all presented as fucking assholes and idiots by the left. So when you hear someone actually break down, like, why right-wing economic theory works the way it does, and, like, you know, get into some of the nitty-gritty of how those things work, it's like, oh shit, like, it's not, the people thinking that way aren't idiots. There's a clear logic here that the other side's totally ignoring and not paying attention to and not addressing because they're too busy painting them as idiots. So I get a lot of knowledge out of him, just like learning new things about the world, and also the way he looks at life has been a big help for me, just because he's a very, like, take what you want kind of guy, but in a fun way. Like, he's not a bad guy, you know, like, he's a nice dude, but also very aggressive about not getting fucked by anybody, you know? And so it's like you can learn from him how to be, like, a decent, fun-loving guy, but not a pushover, you know? And aside from that, he's just really funny, and there's just such a great narrative of like, his career throughout the shows. Because, like, if you listened to Biggest Problem in the Universe, like, at the beginning of that show, everyone who came into that show came because they were a fan of Maddox. Very few people knew Dick Masterson first. And in the early part of the show, Dick was, like, a big memer. Like, he never tried to have any serious arguments, and Maddox did. So in the early part of the show, even though Maddox is a little ridiculous about some of the stuff he said, he always seemed like he was more reasonable than Dick, who was presenting himself as, like, this outlandish personality. But as the show goes on, and you start learning more about Dick's worldview, and he starts taking the arguments more seriously, because he's frustrated and wants to win, and the nature of the show is shifting, you gradually realize that he's the reasonable one, and Maddox is insane, and it totally flips the tables on it. So by the end of the show, Dick's like a hero. Like, by the end of The Biggest Problem in the Universe, Dick was like my guy. I was like, oh man, the way he sees the world, like, just feels so good to me. It feels so right. And then when the shows broke up and Dick made his own show, then it became kind of a show based around that worldview. Like, the entirety of the Dick Show is just basically entrenching yourself in the mindset of Dick Masterson and the people he surrounds himself with. And so if you appreciate that mindset, that's what will get you into the show. But it's I can't say there's, like, an easy way in. Like, there's no listen to this episode and you'll get it. There's nothing like that. It's more like continued exposure that will sort of teach you what the idea is, you know. Hopefully that's a decent answer. Speaking of Bathos being goddamn top tier, the really shitty 360 camera was super charming in a weird way. Yeah, I totally keep forgetting I even have that thing. Because the biggest problem with the 360 camera was trying to get audio to work on it, and that the picture quality is so dick, you know? Like, it's such a great idea, and for my kind of videos, it rarely adds anything. The Bathos vlog is, like, the only vlog where that made sense, because it added to the weirdness and off-kilterness of the whole vlog, that I'm, like, walking around the room eating. That's the one where I'm, like, eating macaroni, right? I'm pretty sure I'm, like, eating a huge bowl of cheese and shells on top of 2 TV trays stacked on top of each other in that video. That is a fucking weird video. Is May a full-time student? No, she's taking 2 classes right now, twice a week. So, yeah. Your takedown videos are really popular and really well made. Yes, I'm not sure if you were leading into something or responding to something. Did you take Hentai Samurai with you to your new home, or did he die on the way? He is indeed here. Hentai Samurai hasn't made another video because he hasn't had a good enough idea for one, but he would love to make another video. I need you to collab with me in a House of Leaves homaging meta bridge of the Monogatari series where you play yourself inside a layer of meta framing, critiquing the two meta layers below you. Thoughts? I'm down. I've done this before. I can do it again. I've done House of Leaves parodies in the past. I don't know if it makes sense to do it on the Monogatari series because it's like exists as opposed to just being a made-up anime, which is how we did it before. But so your view count's getting low is generally happening more and more. It's not just the two latest videos you just changed the title of. Your two most views videos lately are the two unscripted videos you made, and even those only got around 200k views, which is far less than your sub count, meaning that a massive number of subscribers are not clicking your videos, especially because you're still growing in subs, so you're getting views from the sidebar, meaning even less subscribers click your stuff. Thoughts? I think that the period of slowdown was really bad for me. Like the 2 months that I wasn't really putting out much stuff. The most interesting thing about videos did not work at all. I mean, I didn't really anticipate them to get huge or anything, but I did not expect them to get as low of view counts as they did. And the way YouTube is, it's kind of like a water wheel where or I don't know if that's a good example. It's like something that when you're running on it consistently, it keeps spinning. But if you get off and it slows down, then you have to build up momentum all over again, you know? And to build that momentum, you would need to get on there and break into a sprint as opposed to getting on there and just walking, you know? Like, so I think when I first came back, you know, like there was a difficulty in getting the view counts that I'm sort of used to because of that. Now, granted, I think that was actually a really healthy period. The Ava video followed by the writer video followed by the last high school anime, because there was never a time where I was averaging over 100k views. Like, that's not a thing. If you go through my channel history, you'll find that like it's usually either like a 200 or 300k view video in between a bunch of like 70 maybe k, like, and granted a lot of those have gained over time. Like if you were to go back through it, some of them will look bigger than they were at the time, but there has never been a period where I've been every video over 100k views for like a long string. So I would say that the string of the two unscripted videos and the last high school anime did as well as the string of, say, Scum's Wish Dragon Maid, parts 1 and 2. You know, like that was the same level of hits, which is a really healthy period. You know, if they look smaller, it's because they haven't grown as much as the ones that came out 6 months ago I've had time to do. I think the writer who kept anime weird could have 250 to 300k by the end of the year, you know. Or the Ava video will probably break 200k by the end of the year. And maybe the last high school anime will as well. The new ones, my favorite anime videos, I thought that calling it my favorite anime would pull more of my subs. Like, I thought they would be interested to hear about my favorite anime. But that title obviously didn't work. With the Kill La Kill one, I wasn't sure if it was just like, I wasn't sure what it was. But with the Ponyo one, like, Ponyo videos I don't expect to get a ton of views, but like seeing 2 paltry view counts in a row made me go, okay, we got to fix that. And there's a chance they'll hit a second wind. Like, there's no limit to when a video can go viral. Like, it can happen whenever it makes sense. So if those videos got reshared or redistributed with the new titles, there's a chance they'll blow up a lot bigger. But yeah, I think I'm in a decently, I'm in a stable place with my channel, but I'm not growing, and that's because I'm not trying really hard to grow. I'm not putting much effort into growing because I want to form more stability. Like, I just want my channel to start taking care of itself, which is why I'm trying to work so far ahead of myself, so that I can figure out what the next ambitious thing is, you know? That's why I'm doing the My Favorite Anime series, because, like, these videos, are easy to conceptualize. I'm just taking one of my favorite shows and saying why it's my favorite show. Like, I already know why they're my favorite shows. So the work in these is just writing it perfectly. And that's why these are like some of the most well-constructed scripts I've ever done. Because I'm like trying to make it these like tight little diamond gem videos. But like conceptually, they're pretty easy. So, like, by having these and trying to get a bunch of them, like, written ahead of time and, like, working ahead of myself, it will eventually allow me to have, let's say, a whole month where everything that's going to come out that month is already pre-scheduled. And that whole month I can do nothing but either work on one of my big projects that I haven't finished or conceptualize something new for the channel going forward, you know? And that's kind of what I'm focused on right now, as opposed to just... Because I don't want to just go and, like, get desperate and make Your Anime Sucks, whatever, you know, handshakers, like, just out of desperation. Like, it has to be something, you know, that I want to do to grow the channel. As much as I enjoyed you and Vic on Digibros with respect to getting things out in LPs, you and May definitely hit a broader range of topics and emotions, so more interesting to listen to. Thank you. I really like Digimay, and I also really like Hope and Victor. Like, it's got a weird energy to it, and I really like the topics they bring up, because, like, it's kind of funny having Victor without me to bounce off of, because I think I'm a bigger picture guy than Victor, and I make the connections. Like, usually when Victor brought in a topic on Digibros, like, I was the one who would extrapolate it and turn it into, like, its sort of final, like, we'd like, resolve it. With that show, it's like Victor will raise an idea, and then Hope's just kind of like, yeah, man, I guess, and, like, there's no resolution to it, and so it kind of feels, like, a little weird, but then it gives me the opportunity to make a response to it, and I think that makes it even more fun. So I love the dynamic we've got going on. What's your thought on California as a state? Would you ever think about visiting again? I'll visit again if I have a reason to go there. California is big and broad, so I haven't been there enough to say a lot about it as a state. San Jose, Santa Clara was pretty nice. Los Angeles I hated, but some say that's just because I was in the downtown. Thoughts on May's Twitter game being better than yours? She is very proud of her Twitter. She is great at Twitter. She only tweets like once every day or so, maybe every couple of days, but like it's always when she has like a perfectly crafted tweet that she wants to get out there. So yeah. I do tweets of perfect craft sometimes when the inspiration strikes, but I also tweet all the time just because I have to say things about stuff. When are you filming another sex tape in a horse mask? I have never done one of those, but you're thinking of Endless Jess, I think. What are some places you want to live in? We're probably going to move to Atlanta. Like, that seems like by far the most likely choice. We're both pretty sold on it. It's like my favorite city that I visited out of the ones I've visited. I've got a bunch of friends there, a bunch of connections. It's a hop in town. I think it'll be easier for May to get a job there because her degree is in communications, and that's basically what the city is about. It's an art city. It's a fast-growing film city, so I don't know. I think it'll be easier for us to get work and make connections, and there's lots of fun shit to do. And lots of Asian stuff around. Huge Asian population there, so get to go to fun Korean and Japanese places. Dude, Poon Poon's first volume works as a standalone because there was a massive time skip before volume 2. Well, that just means, I mean, that's doubly people are gonna like like, if I say anything about volume 1, all anyone's gonna respond with is, it totally changes in volume 2 though. It's a completely different story, so, you know, that sounds even more obnoxious. By the way, I've read like 25 pages of Poon Poon at one point. I started reading it online, and it seemed interesting, but it wasn't, like, demanding me to finish it. But, you know. Do you feel that at this point in the internet's life, podcasts really live or die on the personalities in them over the actual subject matter? Oh, absolutely. I don't think the subject matter matters at all, because everyone's covering the same subject matter. Like, it's amazing how full a portrait I can get of any new film that comes out without watching it. Like, because currently I follow YMS, who will usually do a quickie review, and that'll give me, like, a general idea of what kind of movie it is. Then you'll have Half in the Bag do a video on it, and they'll go really in-depth describing the movie and their impressions. And then Mumkey will have his Is It Kino video about it, and I'll listen to all of those because it's easy to put on in the background. And so by the end, like, I know everything that happens in, say, It. You know, like Victor and Hope also watched it, and they talked about it in their Let's Play, and they repeated a lot of the stuff the other guys had said, and I was like, so I know, like, all of the events and how good each of those events is in the movie It without having seen the movie. So, there's just so much content for any, thing out there. And granted, I think if you did a podcast about something super obscure, it would probably be more about The Thing, but, like, then you're also not going to really gain that much of an audience because it's super obscure. Like, you'll have an audience dedicated to The Thing, but it'll be 10 guys, Most podcasts are just going to go for the stuff that's popular and being talked about, which means that your personality has to carry you. Or style. How do you think YouTube and internet fame will evolve in the next 10 years? I really have no idea. Like, I think there's a lot of ways it could go. Because it really depends on how badly YouTube fucks up in the future. Like, if they really do start driving creators away and driving fans away. Because, like, right now, they're doing a lot to fuck people over. And, like, the only people really benefiting from YouTube, like, its changes are, like, big corporations and stuff. So, but the problem is nothing can compete. Like, nothing can compete with YouTube. It's got such a monopoly, it's, like, impossible to use something else. So, unless, like, Facebook somehow overhauled their video service to be better than YouTube's, like, I can't see another way. Or if Amazon made a competitor. Like, it would have to be one of the biggest companies on the internet making a YouTube competitor that actually works better than YouTube. For that to, become the new standard. So, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to keep being this relationship that's so contentious between the two. Because I feel like YouTubers could be advancing if there was more communication between YouTube and content creators and companies. And these guys from the Flying Colors Foundation, who I had the $100 conversation with the other night, that's kind of what their MO is to try and make more connections between these different strata of people, like trying to get anime studios talking to YouTubers, and like promoting through them and stuff like that, and like getting all this stuff more connected. And if that's the way things go, I think that we will have a much more interconnected industry, and also everybody's going to be making way more money. And that will encourage a groundswell of more people. Because as soon as it starts being that a YouTuber with 1 million subs gets the opportunity to talk to their favorite anime director, everybody's going to want to be doing it, And we've already kind of seen that. Like, Ego Raptor interviewed Hiroyuki Imaishi and Yo Yoshinari. Like, as more stuff like that starts happening, more and more people will want to be YouTubers, and it'll keep compounding. It's like building a sand castle where you start off like a little mound, but then you just keep pushing in more sand and it just keeps pushing itself up. So the middle part keeps getting higher and more stuff's coming in at the base. That's going to be what YouTube looks like as time goes on. We're only ever going to have more YouTubers because it's only ever going to get more sustainable. But like, I think we'll probably have, what I hope is that more sponsors come into YouTube and make it so less people need to have Patreons. Because as it's going right now, YouTube is run so badly in terms of like getting people paid, getting content creators paid what they deserve, and like actually, looking at the value of content creators, that everyone needs a Patreon. It's the only way for anybody to succeed. If we had more sponsors sponsoring more YouTubers and they didn't have to rely so much on fan funding, then the fans' money won't be spread as thin, and there'll be more opportunities for people to survive off of YouTube without everybody needing a Patreon. Because as it stands, I think it's going to be unsustainable if every new YouTuber has a Patreon and they're all competing with each other. And, like, the same 10 audience members are the one funding everybody, you know? The people who have money. Like, so, in other words, we need corporations to step in the right way instead of the wrong way, I guess. What is the best short in the Animator Expo series, and why is it the one about the post-apocalyptic society trying to figure out history via movies they find? I've only seen the first, like, 3 Animator Expo shorts. I still haven't gotten around to the rest. What's May intending to major in? She majors in communications. She's just getting, like, a basic associate's communications degree. Like, she might go back to school later if she, like, can't get any kind of meaningful job out of it. But, she's not that interested in, like, going to school for a long time, I don't think. How would you become an interesting internet personality? Do you have to consciously work at it? Is it something about the worldview? How do you make yourself interesting to other people? Also, when's that Digimerge coming out? How would you become an interesting internet personality? Consciously working at it, I'd say, is definitely a part of it. And the worldview. Like, oh, God. How do you make yourself interesting? I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can just make yourself interesting. I think it's more that you should gauge whether you are interesting. I think there's a lot of people who try to fit themselves into the role that shouldn't. This is gonna sound mean, and I don't mean to pick on him or anything, and don't take this. This is just the first thing coming off the top of my head. But the YouTuber Syy, he blew up to like over 100,000 subs because of the fact that he made a couple of like 10 interesting things you didn't know about Pokemon, like stuff like that kind of videos. And those got a ton of views and he gained a ton of subs, but none of his subs stuck around because he's not a good internet personality. And he's been trying to force it ever since, like, because he got such a taste of success, he keeps trying to branch out and make other kinds of videos. But, like, he doesn't really present an interesting worldview. He doesn't present an interesting personality. He's just kind of making YouTube videos. He's just making, like, very standard reviews anybody could make. He's got this big analysis project on Heaven's Lost Property, but, like, he doesn't really do a good job of selling the show to people who haven't seen it. And, like, I don't know. I just don't think he's really cut out to be a big YouTuber. And I don't think he would even have thought he was cut out to do that if not for the fact that he blew up from those top 10 interesting things videos. But the thing about it is, I've watched a bunch of his videos, and those are by far the most interesting ones because he's just regurgitating information. You know, the information itself is interesting. He doesn't have to be. Whereas he would have to be for a lot of the other stuff he's making. And so, when I look at someone like him, I'm thinking, why are you trying to force this thing that you're not good at out of just, like, a desire to like he just thinks that that's the best, I don't know, the thing he most wants to be is a successful YouTuber, but, like, if you're not cut out for it, then why do that? Why not do the thing you are cut out for? Like, you can edit decently well, you can, there's things he can do related to YouTube. You don't have to be the guy with the subs. You know, you just gotta do something you're good at in this world. Like, that's why Devu edits for me instead of making his own videos, because, like, Devu can make great videos. He's pretty fucking, his videos are all really entertaining and fun, but the way he sees it is, it's gratifying to be an editor because he's reaching a bigger audience than he would on his own. He's editing scripts that he really likes. He finds it satisfying to do. Like, he likes the work, and he can't come up with videos all the time on his own. He's like, he said trying to be an actual full-time YouTuber would be, like, too stressful for him. Like, he'd have to have too many ideas and shit like that. And he can't really do that part. So even though he can make great videos, he's recognized that shouldn't be my career. Editing should be my career because I can do that easily and get paid, and have a career out of that. So, like, I think if you are someone who doesn't have a strong internet personality, like, and I mean, it's not that you automatically are going to recognize it, but, for me, it was not a surprise, because I'm a guy who, in high school, all my teachers were telling me that I have an amazing written voice, like, oh, you have a very distinct style, you have a very distinct voice, you do not read like anybody else, and so, like, that's just natural, that's just the way I think. So, like, I do think that there's some people who are just in a better position to do that, but, it's not that you can't work at it, but... and it helps to do lots of podcasts, or just find yourself in a position where you can practice speaking a lot. Make lots of shit that nobody gets to see, I don't know. I don't know if there's a better answer than that. As for when's the Digi merch coming out, I'm not sure, but I need to start thinking about it, because those Flying Colors Foundation guys... we're definitely like, we'll do this today if you give us the ideas. So I'm going to start drawing up the ideas, and hopefully we'll get some merch out before the holiday season. I think what we're probably going to do is do a merch test run, like to see how many people will buy something of my light novel. And then once we've done that, I'm going to sketch out like a shitload of products and ask them like if we can make a store. Like, I think there should be a Digibro store. Let's go. Big Broad sounds like a good time. Big Broads. Atlanta is fucking huge. It's as big as my entire country, coast to coast. Don't you live in Sweden? Sweden's way bigger than Atlanta. That can't be true. I could see Amazon making a video service through Twitch. Could happen. Twitch is probably one of the biggest competitors for YouTube. Though personally, I like YouTube streaming more, because Twitch just kind of feels alien to me. Devu is the best part of the Digibro Patreon. His ranting is amazing in the chat. Yeah, Devu is an unhinged man. There's a fuck ton of YouTube sponsors in the video game tubing scene, and the anti-tube scene, there are a lot of sponsors, but they are fucking Naruto Online and shit. Yeah, no, that's not what I mean. I mean... See, what Flying Colors Foundation is trying to do is they're trying to get, like, an anime studio talking to a YouTube... Like, if what they're doing goes through, the Canepa Effect would not have to just make a video about, like, why Yo-Yo Shinari is cool. He would be, go to Japan and talk to him or something, or get him in a call, get an interview, Like, I look at, one of the most impressive fucking things about the Company Man channel, Justin Hunt, because he's been working in for a hip-hop magazine publication for a really long time, and so he has assloads of interviews and clips and like all these quotations. Like, he's talked to every rapper fucking ever, and like he'll do a video sometimes and he'll just call up like the guy he's talking about in the video to have a comment in the video. And like, we should have that as anime YouTubers, like, it's a lot harder because of the language gap and the distance, but we're in the internet age and it shouldn't be as hard. Like, why isn't there an interview with Tattoon out there? I told this to the Flying Colors people. I said, like, you need to get into contact with Tattoon, the social media guy for Trigger, because, like, that dude's face should be everywhere, promoting Trigger. Anyway. Man, May should just work for you as your communications director. If you got enough patrons for it, she might be able to help make you reach more people. I agree. I want to add May to the payroll. I want to add everybody to the payroll. I need way more money to do that. Because it's already... Consider that currently the Patreon is my entire living wage and Devu's entire living wage. Like, it is two people's whole livelihood is just in the Patreon. And while I could use some of the Patreon money to, like, occasionally... maybe hire Victor for a video, maybe I can pay May to do something, maybe I can pay somebody else, like, for it to be someone's entire job, like, you have to consider how much money does a person need in a month, which I'm going to say $1,500 is about what you need at minimum in a month to survive, maybe not that much, maybe $1,000 a month, $1,000 a month at the minimum, $1,500 to live comfortably, more than that to really live comfortably, like I do. So, like, you know, Davu's probably making like $1,500 a month, and that's out of the $4,500 a month that's being made total. So I'm making like $3,000 a month, which is good, but I want to keep it that way. I don't want to be making any less than that personally. So if I was making, say, $5,000 a month on the Patreon, like it says is the highest goal, where I'm a god who can do anything, then maybe we start thinking about, all right, we're hiring May part-time. All right, we're hiring Victor part-time. All right, we're hiring the talent I have around me, you know. But it just I need to be making more money before I'm willing to do that. Do you keep up with Zero Punctuation? Yes, I've been falling behind a lot lately, but sometimes I'll just binge like 20 videos to try to catch up. But I've been following Zero Punctuation literally since 2008. So, what are your top videos from your own channel based entirely on how good Davu's editing is in them? Like the best of Davu's editing according to you. Oh, that's really difficult. His editing... It's definitely probably the Akashic Records video, how I learned to stop worrying and love Akashic Records, because I remember that one being especially great. Let me look real quick. Let me look at these videos. I know his favorite is the Kill La Kill inventive animation video. The Altered Evangelion, or Evangelion Altered Anime Eternally, that one's got really good editing. Hard Thinking, no, that's me. How much do anime visuals matter? Had pretty good editing. How I Learned to Stop Worrying definitely had phenomenal editing. I'm gonna say that's the best, because that's the one that most like came to life in the editing. Like, it didn't feel alive until it was edited. The difficulties of being right about anime. Like, he's generally gotten better and better with time, I would say, but it depends on how much effort he puts into that specific video and how much leeway there is in the video for editing tricks. Like, my favorite anime videos are perfectly edited for what they are, but there's nowhere to, like, really flex the editing. It's more about the script. When I do broad concept stuff, usually he can get away with like more flashy, fun editing and shit. Oh shit, your light novel, I want that on a shelf so badly. Yeah, a lot of people have expressed that desire, and that's why I'm going to use that as a test run, because I think it will sell not only because some people want the book specifically, but it will be the first Digibro merch. So like, the fact that I haven't sold a book already will probably help the sales of that book. Because, like, you know, it's not like a great book or anything, but it would be an entertaining product to have as a Digibro fan. So that's why I think it would be a good test run to generally see how many of my fans want to own a Digibro product. And then after that, we can look at doing other shit. Though I think it's weird that they do it that way, because for me, I am more likely to buy one product for an entire YouTuber's career. Like, I see it as like, oh, I bought a t-shirt, so I've done my part, you know. But I guess it depends on how cool the stuff is and how much you guys want it. There are some people I'll buy multiple shirts from if they have multiple good shirts, you know. Like, I have my Dick Show t-shirt, and then there's other Dick Show shirts that I want that I probably will buy, but haven't yet. Would you ever want to go on Guest Grumps? I would totally go on Guest Grumps. I don't think I'm big enough to get on there. I know you say you feel that way. I don't think so. And the only Game Grump who I know has heard of me is Rubber Ross, because he's subscribed to me. So maybe if Ross wanted me on for some reason, but I don't know if he actually like actively watches any of my videos or if he's just subbed. But like, as far as I know, none of the other Grumps have heard of me at all. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they've seen, like, if Aaron had seen one video randomly and didn't think about who I was or anything. How many Pokemon movies do you plan on watching up to? All of them. Me and May are doing a podcast series on it. As you can see here in the schedule, that's September. In October, we've got every Thursday, Digi and May's Pokemon Journey. As you can see, Digi and May's Pokemon Journey is completed all the way through the month of October. The first 4 podcasts are already scheduled. So there's also 3 episodes of Game Boys, which is me and Hippo's podcast that will be starting next month. And both of those will be running weekly. And they're almost all scheduled for next month. That's the kind of working ahead I'm trying to do. Now, of course, neither of those is a podcast I think is going to have a huge audience. I don't know how many people want to listen to the Pokemon movie podcasts. They are long. I describe the entire movie in each podcast, but I have a lot of fun doing them. Do you think that some shows might be better watched weekly, or do you believe that every show should hold up to binge watching? I don't know how I missed that question before. Everything should be binge watched. I've never ever in my life had an experience where a show was better weekly than it was binged. And I think it ruins shows for me watching them weekly. Like, I have not enjoyed the new season of Rick and Morty as much as I feel I should have, because I have to watch it once a week. And every episode I have to individually formulate an opinion on. And so if one's not as good, it really stands out. Like, there's several episodes of season 1 I don't like that much, but I consider the season amazing, you know? And, like, I'm pretty sure season 3 has had no less great episodes, but, you know, it just comes out for the worst because I watch it every week. I cannot imagine a scenario in which I'd enjoy a show more watching it weekly. I think it solely crushes the life out of shows for me. That's why I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't think there's going to be another weekly anime watching show unless it's bad. Unless it's a bad show like Eromanga Sensei. I don't want to do it with a good show again. Because I hate it. Gonna get that Punch Pick Motherfucker merch line. I've come to learn from past experiences that putting a swear on a shirt will guarantee it does not get enough sales. Because not enough people have the balls to wear it. I'm outside walking back to my apartment on a sidewalk right now with your voice in my ears via headphones, and when you suggested a merch release of your light novel, I almost tripped. Good. I live off of $1,100 wish relative ease. It's a matter of organization. Yeah, 1,100's fine. I mean, for the longest time, my goal was make $1,000 a month. Like, for my Patreon for like the first 3 years was make at least $1,000 a month, so I could pay rent and still have a lot of money to, like, buy equipment and shit like that. I think 1,100 would not work in my current living situation. Right now I pay $750 for rent alone. That's just my share of the rent. So $750 for rent. I've got like $100 a month phone bill because they fucking tricked me. Which I can get reduced by paying off the rest of the phone. But so that's $850 on living expenses so far. I haven't gotten a utilities bill yet at this place. None of us knows why, but we haven't gotten a bill yet. But assumably we'll say at least $100 in utility bills. So that's $950. You know, $100 like a week in food. That's for groceries, which doesn't even account for how often I go out to eat. So like, yeah, $1,100 a month would not sustain me in this place. I think I could live on $2,000 a month here, but then I wouldn't be able to go out and eat all the time, and that would be a not fun life, or just to buy things when I need them, which is what I do. This is probably more so a question for Devu or Lachlan, but how would you go about marketing yourself as an editor for YouTube videos, or to get into a position where you edit someone's vids? I would just send them videos you've edited that are in a style similar to what they have done. Like, I think Lachlan probably offered, like, I think Jeff was probably looking for editors and Lachlan probably offered, and since he already has proven he can do anime analysis videos, then he was an obvious choice. Devu was similar for me. He was already making videos, you know, like I'd seen Devu videos and I thought he was a good editor. So when he wanted to, like, he basically like hammered me with offers because I'd suggested somewhere that I guess that I could use an editor, and he was like, let me do it. and I, basically gave him a script that I had, like a script that if I had been the one editing it probably wouldn't have gotten made. And so that's why I gave him that as like a test, and then slowly let him edit more. But yeah, if you want to edit for people, just make a video in a style similar to theirs, and if they happen to be, looking for an editor. So if I catch up on Biggest Problem in the Universe in the Dick Show, how can I expect my worldview and disposition to be changed by the end, based on how he has influenced you? I don't know if it will. I don't know if it necessarily will be. For me, it definitely had the effect of politically moving more to the middle. Just basically having no patience for media's bullshit, I would say, is part of it. Like, losing patience for bullshit in general. Like, Dick has very little patience for dumb bullshit. And, the more I watch his show, the more of the world I can't put up with and don't feel I should put up with. The more I feel like I'm surrounded by incompetence or something. I don't know. It's cathartic. It will make you get angry instead of sad at things, but find catharsis in that, I guess. I have no fucking idea. I don't know how you'll feel. I don't know who you are or what your life is like. I don't know what changes will be made in you. Do you watch Sumo Man? As big guys, it's our best sport we get invested in, and our knowledge of Japanese makes it fun. I've only seen a little bit of sumo when I was streaming Japanese TV for like a week, and it's kind of like American football, where there's a lot of setup and then a quick burst of action, so I probably wouldn't be able to sit through too much of it. I assume a lack of response to my tweet about Anime North means you wouldn't go, but if your trip was paid for, you would come to Anime North. I'm not sure. I don't know where Anime North is. I assume it's in Canada, because I remember that tweet. I just didn't get time to respond to it. If it's on this if it's nearby, I might go. Like, if it's not that far into Canada and someone was paying me, like, what do you mean by if the trip was paid for? Like, are we talking about like a fan paying for it, or like the con paying for it? Like, are you a talent scout for the Anime North, or like what? That would definitely be a factor, but it depends on how close it is. Like, there's one in Rochester I'm going to. We have like some big anime con at a college, and they're paying me to go to that. So if you're nearby, come here to that one. That's easier. But I kind of am over the whole traveling to go to a con thing for now. Maybe I'll come to your con in the future if I ever get a travel bug inside me. But currently, I don't want to have to fly again for the rest of the year. I've done enough travel this year. The only show I've ever watched weekly that I thought was better for it wasn't even an anime. It was 24. I've never seen any of 24. Have you tried Mr. Robot? I have not. So just give us your full Neo Yokio rant. I downloaded it. Why should I watch it? I just did a Neo Yokio thing in the Digi in May video that I just recorded, so you can wait for that. But the short answer is it's really funny, and I like it. The characters are fun. The dialogue's hilarious. It's got a really bizarre sense of pacing and, like, structure, and the world's interesting. But overall, it's just funny. Like, I mean, it's a fucking weird show. It's definitely, like, bizarre to watch, but it's overall, like, I thought it was charming and enjoyable. So, yeah. I go into some more detail in this Let's Play. I agree with your stance on marathoning shows, but now that my time is limited, watching shows weekly is a great way to unwind after school or work. Yeah, I think that's why most people watch stuff weekly, but for someone like me, it just doesn't. There's no place like that in my life, you know. The House of Leaves homage will make sense at being a meta bridge of Monogatari, but it takes some explanation. I'll hit you up sometime after the stream or something. Okay. You've said before you really liked Lilo and Stitch. Why is that movie good according to you? By the way, I fully agreed is among the best Disney films. Is the appeal similar to Ponyo? I would say in terms of, like, color palette, it's similar to Ponyo, but, like, the tone of the movie is very different. What I like about Lilo and Stitch is how, like, abrasive and violent it is. like, that they really didn't hold back on making Lilo a fucking brat. Like, she's an ass-kicking toddler who's, like, got a, like, her family's really dysfunctional. Like things are really wrong with her. And that's presented in a fun and engaging way. And then Stitch just kind of makes things worse. And that's what makes it so entertaining. I will say that the ending of Lilo and Stitch is kind of eh. When it gets into the big action climax, I just kind of, like, lose attention. But, like, other than that, it's a really enjoyable movie. Some great drama in there. Reading any books excluding manga? Nope. Ain't got time for that. Because books, not unlike shows, I prefer to read all at once. Because I will lose track of what the fuck's going on. The great thing about a manga is that I can read a whole volume in like a couple of days of taking a shit. Reading a book on the shitter, you get like a page done and then you have to get up and you're like, I don't remember what was happening last time I was reading this. So for me, the best way to read a book is to just sit down and read the whole book. You know, like the last book I read, that Hunter S. Thompson book, was like, I literally sat there for like 8 hours at night and then 8 hours the next morning and read the whole book, you know. Is there anything since then I've read? I feel like I read a book more recently, but I don't remember what the fuck it was. Do I have a book? I read The Triflers a couple months ago. I don't think I read another book. I don't think I've read one recently. I've read a bunch of manga. What are your favorite live-action movies? Haven't heard much of your opinion on those. It's been a long time since I've watched any of my favorites. I think everybody knows my favorite is Speed Racer. I've got a video about it on the main channel from way back. Go check that out if you want my opinions about that movie. Like, most of my favorites I haven't watched in a long time, and it's hard for me to formulate, like with anime, I've seen so much of it that I know exactly what I like and what I'm looking for, and I can easily pick out my favorites from the bunch. With movies, it's like there's a couple directors I really like, but I don't have a general sense of, like, what do I like about movies, you know? Because I see very few of them. So, like, I love everything Quentin Tarantino's done that I've seen. I love everything that Wes Anderson's done that I've seen. I love everything that what the fuck is the British guy's name who did Shaun of the Dead? You know who I'm talking about. We did a whole podcast series about him. Edgar Wright. I love all the Edgar Wright movies that I've seen. So, like, and those three directors all have a very similar kind of, like, distinctive style. Like, it's not surprising that somebody who likes one of those would like all of them. So if there's more directors like them, maybe I'd like their stuff. I don't know. It's hard for me to, like, formulate a cohesive opinion, especially because then I have stuff that's kind of not like that. Like, I love Christopher Nolan movies in general, and what's his name? The Mexican dude, Guillermo del Toro. So, like, yeah, there's certain directors I really love. And then there's a few just errant movies that I love. Like Speed Racer, I'm not even that big a fan of the Wachowskis. I just really love Speed Racer. You know, and there's a few other movies here and there. But, like, it's hard for, like, I can't say that any of the favorites lists I have of movies that exist on the internet are accurate. Like, the last 3x3 I did had Kingdom of Heaven in it, but I rewatched that movie recently, and my opinion of it went down considerably. That movie has not held up in a post-Game of Thrones world, because what was appealing about Kingdom of Heaven was that it was a very gritty fantasy story that's, like, sort of dirty and realistic feeling, but it doesn't have much in the way of, like, characters or personality. There's lots of great cinematography, but, like, in a world where Game of Thrones exists as a gritty fantasy story with, like, really interesting characters and a much more engrossing world, Kingdom of Heaven kind of feels like a sloppy, like, nothing movie. So, you know, some of my favorites aren't my favorites anymore. So it's really hard to say. I guess what was how many live action movies have I seen this year? I'm going to go to my Letterboxd. The most recent movie I watched was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And before that, the last thing I saw was from 2016, which was Doctor Strange. In 2016, I saw in total, in theaters, hold on. I saw Zootopia, The Jungle Book, Shin Godzilla, Arrival, and Doctor Strange, and that was it. And this year, all I've seen in theaters is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That is the only thing I've made it out to the theaters for, and I haven't watched anything on DVD that's come out this year. So it's the only 2017 film I've seen. And looking at 2015 was just as bad. I saw The Force Awakens, The Martian, and Mad Max, and Chappie. And it was Interstellar 2015. No, that was 2014. So that was it. So yeah, I don't watch a lot of live action movies. Where can I find your Rambo and Half episode guide for what to watch or skip? You should be able to just Google guide Digibro. How to watch Rambo and Half and minimize on crappy episodes. There, I Googled it for you. Oh, wait, I tried to link a Google link, and that does not work in the chat on YouTube. Just Google search, you will find it. It's in Toronto, and my friend knows that guy looking for people to host panels. Toronto. Where is Toronto? Is that close to me, or is that far away? Let me just look it up. Anime North. Nolan North. More like Nolan North. Canada's top not-for-profit fan event, May 26th to 28th. Probably can't go to that because I will probably be moving on those days. We are going to be leaving this house right at the end of May, and I highly doubt I'll be able to go to a con during those days. So I'm going to go ahead and say no to Anime North. If aliens came to Earth and you were the first contact, what would you do? Granted, they just wanted your advice on how to handle this whole ordeal. I would be a great first contact for aliens. I think I could I would sit them down for like 10 hours and just explain the whole Earth. And I think I could do a better job than just about anybody else. That's probably my biggest expertise, is explaining something at great length in a relatively succinct way, like talking for a long time but saying a lot in that time. What were the first YouTubers you got into ever, like back in 2005 or something? I don't think I got into YouTubers back then. I don't think I had a conception of the idea of a YouTuber. Like, I just saw videos, like a funny video would come out and I'd look at it and think it was funny. I don't think I had many subscribers before, like, I discovered Ego Raptor and Game Grumps and JonTron, or not subscribers, but subscriptions. Like, I don't think I had much of a conception of YouTube as a place where you subscribe to channels and stuff like that. Like, I just saw it as view counts. So, yeah, none. There were none. The earliest YouTuber I remember, like, knowing the name of was Freddie Wong, because he had made a bunch of, like, cool-ass, the Call of Duty in real life videos and stuff like that. So I want to say that was, like, 2008 or 2009. That's probably the first YouTuber I, like, got into. But even then, I didn't like, watch all his shit. I just watched, like, 3 or 4 videos. Who's the best shit poster on the internet? Drill. At Drill on Twitter, by far. I was gonna do the second episode of Riding the Zeitgeist about Drill, but I haven't. And I don't know about that series' future, because I don't know if it'll ever make as much sense to do it that way as it did with the Lo-Fi Hip Hop podcast. Speaking of Edgar Wright, have you seen Baby Driver? Nope. Would very much like to. Have you thought about going on Digibros, or is the idea of you doing a podcast with people who admire you and everything about you too awkward? Wait, what? Have you thought? Oh, Digiboys. I'd rather let you guys do it yourselves. Yeah, neither podcast would make sense if I was on it. if I was on the Digiboys talking about anime, it's just a Digibro podcast at that point. And why put it on that channel? Why not just put it on After Dark? And if it was the other podcast, it would make no fucking sense because it's all about fans talking about my content. Explain your country, please. I don't know if we have time for me to explain my country. There's a lot going on here. There's no further chat after that. Let's see if anybody asked me anything on the Patreon. I doubt it because I didn't leave much time before starting this, between announcing it and starting it. Nope, it does not look like there's any comments on the Patreon. You guys are gonna have to start flooding me with questions, y'all. You guys are gonna have to fucking go apeshit. Is the chat not working? Is my live stream not working? Are you guys just out? There you go. There you go. People too slow. How's the Japanese studying going? Not at all. It is not going. There has been no progress. You got to remember, anytime you see a lot of videos coming out from me, assume that's all I've been doing. Because, like, let me break down a Digibro day on average. Let's say it's a day that May works a full shift. So I wake up around noon. She's working till let's say she's working 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. I wake up around noon. So I get up, throw on a Fantano video, and look at my schedule, figure out if there's anything I want to do right now, any videos that I want to work on. Finish up one of 3 or 4 podcasts that I probably have on the desktop, you know, like record a DigiDoes Life, or record a 2 weeks review, or record a, what's something I could do with May not here? Maybe I call up Hippo and do a Game Boys episode. Maybe it's a day that a Rick and Morty episodes come out, so me and Nate, although we usually record at night if it's with Nate. Or I just start working on one of my scripts for one of the upcoming My Favorite Anime videos. Work on something. I work on that for about 4 hours, then May gets home. We then immediately probably spend 45 minutes having sex. Then we stumble into the bedroom, or the office, and we go, all right, we got the rest of the night. What should we do? Let's make a Pokemon commentary. Let's watch a Pokemon movie and make a podcast about it. So we watch a Pokemon movie for an hour and a half. Then we spend an hour and another hour and a half recording a podcast about it. So that's 3 hours. So at this point, we're at like 8 o'clock probably. So it's 8 o'clock. We have dinner. Then we have sex again for another 2 hours. No, maybe 1 hour. Then so now it's like 10. She's getting tired. So now we're going to probably maybe we might record a Let's Play on top of the Pokemon recording. That's less likely though. Maybe she has to do some homework or something, and I'm going to work on the computer. At some point, I'm going to end up maybe on Twitter or talking to fans for a little while. Maybe I've got to do some extra. Maybe I got to do a content roundup or something. That takes like half an hour. And then she goes to bed. So now I've got between like 11 o'clock or so, maybe 12 when she passes out, and 4 in the morning where I'm going to be up doing extra work. This is where I'm definitely going to be working on a script, definitely going to be working on podcasts. Probably if it's a Night with Nate podcast or a Mumkey podcast, and that's got to happen. You know, I mean, you see this fucking schedule. There's literally stuff on every single day. There is no day that nothing is coming out. Sometimes I just sit there for like half an hour and make thumbnails and titles for stuff. Like the Scoring Shows videos. Like, it takes a couple of minutes to put a title and a description and tags and a thumbnail on a video and schedule it and make sure the monetization's good. That takes a couple minutes. So sometimes I'll just have like 8 things waiting in the wings, and I just sit there for a while and go through and give everything titles and thumbnails, and schedule it. So, there's a lot going on. Maybe I finished a manga, so let's throw on a Manga Mondays on the pile. Maybe I had a vlog idea, that's got to get made. When you're a human content machine, there's very little time to squeeze in anything extra, because when you do have time to squeeze in something extra, you want to do something fun, because you've been indoors for fucking 3 days doing nothing but work. So you go, hey, today let's go out and do a fun thing, or let's smoke a bunch of pot and watch some Ghibli movies. And even then, even the off time is later going to be reconstructed into content when I do a 2 weeks review, or we do a Digi and May Let's Play. And like whatever we consumed just because we were having fun suddenly becomes a part of human content machine. So, it's a nonstop chain. Okay, there's plenty of fucking new text here now. Okay. What is the most cynical cash grab anime you have watched? The Asterisk War, probably. Cheese. Good, bad, go. Cheese is great. I'm a big cheese guy. Love cheese. Can the snob be saved? Possibly. I think it would take him realizing, like, I don't know. I don't think he would give up his character or his position, but, like, he might figure out how to make it fun for other people. Because the problem with the snob is that he sees it as, like, he sees himself as, like, a wrestling heel, but the way he comes at people is, like, an aggressive jackass. And so if he found a way to make it fun for other people to interact with him, I think he'd be more successful. But I don't know if he's capable of that. Tic-Tac-Toe or Connect 4? Connect 4. Connect 4 is great. Chocolate milk, yes or no? Yes. Though I prefer strawberry. How's the Ota Cave building going? It's complete. The Ota Cave has been done. It was shown off in the house. The house review. Unless you mean, like, am I adding more to it? Which I really haven't added much other than more manga. Favorite dildo length? No opinion. Best milkshake? I don't know. Vanilla? I like vanilla. Are you going to dye your hair soon? No. How do you see your own identity? I remember watching that one Digibros clip of you saying you'd like to be a well-dressed lolly, ideally, but that you'd be fine with who you are now as this kind of insane, weird, neat hobo. I find this trail of thought interesting because I've never really seen anyone talk about their own identity in this way or seen it in this way. So if there's any clarification on how you see yourself, it'd be interesting to listen to. How do I see my own identity? I don't... This is always weird. Every time I have this thought and explain it to someone, it feels weird. But I don't feel a strong sense of identity. And I know that's bizarre because I am such an outsider with such a specific worldview that is so different from most people. But I don't see myself as having a extremely concrete identity. There are observable things about me. I am outspoken. I have no filter. I dress weird. I don't care what other people think about me. I am usually a chubby bearded guy. I'm a romantic. I like alcohol and weed. I like anime and media, and I like to create things. Like, those are all things you can say about me. And I guess, like, if that's, like, everything that I think of, like, I think, who is Digibro? Those things all apply. But I don't have, like, a concrete sense of, like, that's exactly who I am. Like, if you tried to ask me, like, oh, well, what's Digibro think politically? I don't know. I have no idea. What does Digibro think about, what's his stance on the world in general? I have no fucking idea. I feel different ways at different times. There's no concrete idea of, like, who am I? I feel like there's a lot of answers and they change. So, I don't know if I have a concrete way I see my identity. Favorite thing to say when you come? I'm coming. If you had to have one of your eyes gouged and got an eye patch to look swanky, would you rather it be your left eye or right eye? My left eye, because I'm right-handed, and so, you know, that probably looked like my left arm because... No, never mind. This is not... It does not work like a mirror, does it? No. Define degenerate. Digibro. What is your most recent t-shirt purchase that you care about? I don't remember. I was thinking about this today, actually, that it's been a while since I've bought a new t-shirt. No, it's a Anime Expo. If you've seen that shirt that I've worn that's got like kind of a vaporwave aesthetic with like lots of Japanese signs and stuff, and like it's sort of that like a sort of Tumblr-y vaporwavy aesthetic shirt. I got that at Anime Expo, and I got it as a set because it was by these people called Wuji, and they had two shirts on display. One that was a black shirt with like a sort of cyberpunk look, which is the one I got, and then there was another one that was a white shirt with like a bunch of Japanese sweets on it, and like they kind of had a reverse aesthetic of one another, and I thought it was really cool. So I bought the black one for myself, and then I later came back and bought the white one for May. As a tank top, so now we've both got one, and yeah, it's cool. How do you think Nintendo idea of doing non-Pokemon anime, in particular, hints they're working on a Fire Emblem anime? That could work. Fire Emblem's had an OVA before. There has been a Fire Emblem anime. Nani anime wa ichiban sake to tanoshii desu ka? I think you're asking what's my favorite alcohol to drink while watching anime? Your sentence, the syntax seems completely off, so I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. Do you have ideas for what your hypothetical child's would be called? I do not. How's your Google Pixel treating you? It was fine until the latest Android update, and now for whatever reason, it won't play audio out of my car. Like, the Bluetooth connects, but it won't play the audio. So, yeah, it's a huge pain in the ass. What kind of keyboards do you own, and do you prefer it to be clicky or silent? I would hate it to be completely silent, but I'd like it to be somewhat quiet so I can type while people are sleeping. I've got this really, like, busted up. Well, it's not busted up, but, like, half the keys don't have actual letters on them because they've been rubbed off. I think it's just a Logitech. I like it. It's fine. I've been using it for, like, 6 years. And it's been fine. I tend to like relatively smaller keyboards, I guess, on laptops and shit. I don't know. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. What kind of, if May were a lolly, would you be happier or not? I already kind of think of her as a lolly. So I'd be the same. Have you found any better goon than Midnight Blush yet? I don't think so. I think that's still the best one. I think that's the one we've got in the fridge. Where are you going to take the Turntable channel? Next month, I'm planning to start up a old-ass albums cast. I've only recorded the first one. It's scheduled to go up on the 1st, I think. I don't know how it's going to go. The first one went okay. I don't know if they'll all make as much sense as that one did, but hopefully it'll be good. Other than that, I'm not sure. It's basically just going to be whenever I have an idea. Like, that first 2-week span, I was just really into music and having lots of ideas. And since then, I haven't been as focused on music. I've been more focused on all this other shit on my schedule. And, so I haven't been thinking about it as much. But every once in a while, I get an idea, like I can barely fit my dick in my pants. And I just go ahead and make a video about it. But yeah, it'll probably just continue to be like occasional videos, but I want there to be some kind of regular content, which is why Old Ass Album Cast is going to happen. Most recent song or album you've gotten into? Most recent? There's been like a bunch lately. This has been a great year for music, and I've been discovering like older shit too. I'm going to say the most recent is the song by Richard Dawkins, I think is his name. which I think is also the name of, like, Dawson. Richard Dawson. Richard Dawson has an album called Peasant, and there's a song called Ogre, which is the single. Really good folk music. So that's probably the most recent song and album I've gotten into. How's your sleep schedule as of the past month? You predicted it might regularize to more human hours. Has it at all? Yes, definitely. I've been on a consistent daytime sleep schedule. I'm usually up till 4 a.m, and waking up around noon, but it's consistent. In fact, I haven't gone past 4 a.m. since living here, I don't think. Sometimes I go to bed earlier, sometimes later. Usually around 2 to 4 is when I crawl into bed, and I wake up either anywhere from 9 to 12, depending on how late I was up the night before. So it's way more consistent than it's ever been, and it's just entirely because I've based like all my scheduling around May's scheduling. So, because, I have no format to my life, but if she does, then I can just apply that format, and then I have format to my life. It's been going pretty well. What non-human race is the best in Legend of Zelda? Rito, Gerudo, Goron, or Zora? I would say Goron's my favorite because, it's funny. I'm tempted to say Rito, but I feel like that only feels so new and fresh because I grew up with Gorons. But, Gorons are awesome. They're such a great concept that they, roll around and everything. Why is your couch so fucking perfectly color coordinated with your wall, man? I have no idea. It just looks like the wall, I guess. The wall is white. And so are the shades. The shades, if they look colored, it's only because the shadows are dancing on them. But, I don't know. It looks cool. I also look like I'm kind of sideways, but I think that's just because my head is sideways. How much more Game of Thrones have you watched? I heard you watched at least an episode. I had seen the first 4 seasons back when there were 4 seasons, and I have not watched any since then because I got sick of it. And I've been hearing that I stopped at a good place because everyone says the show's a meme now. Thoughts on Pause and Select? He's a good boy. He's the only guy who's friends with everybody in the anime community. Nobody hates him. What are your thoughts about you talking about your sex life? May's okay with it. I'm okay with it. I don't get into anything too specific to where it would be invasive, but I think it's important for people to talk about sex, and I think it's interesting. So I like talking about it to at least some extent. What's your favorite Legend of Zelda game? Ocarina of Time. Probably still Ocarina. The Minish Cap, and Wind Waker are my top 3. But probably Ocarina still. I haven't played Majora's Mask yet, or Twilight Princess, or Skyward Sword, or A Link Between Worlds, or Spirit Tracks, or Phantom Hourglass, or Oracle of Ages and Seasons. So I've only played half the Zelda games. Do you have the rights to human content machine yet? I think I technically have a copyright on it just by having said it, but I could get it trademarked probably. I should get those fucking FCF guys to help me trademark shit, because they probably know how to do that, and I have no idea how. Do you like Innuendo Studios? Yes, I think he's fucking great. Even though I don't have the same liberal agenda that he does, I think his analysis is always extremely on point and interesting. So I'm a big fan. Any podcasts you'd like to listen to but don't have the time to? No, I need more podcasts. I don't know any good podcasts. The only ones I listen to are The Dick Show. I just listen to The Dick Show and anything that my friends happen to put out. I don't even listen to the new PCPs. For the most part, that the ones I'm not on. I usually listen to Vic and Hope's Let's Plays, which is basically a podcast, and The Dick Show, and Red Letter Media videos, which I think of as podcasts essentially because they're that long, but like and like Mumkey's podcasts. But yeah, I need new podcasts. Sonic Mania thoughts. I have no intentions of playing it because I don't like Sonic games at all. Do you still read blogs, or are those mostly dead? They're pretty dead. The only blog I really read, I don't even call it, it's not even a blog, but I read the stuff that Film Crit Hulk writes. And even that I catch up on. Like, every couple of months I remember Film Crit Hulk, and I go to see if he's written anything in those couple of months. And I think I'm a few posts behind on him right now. Worst show this year? I have no idea. I haven't watched enough shows this year, so I have no idea. Tweeny Witches, have you seen it? Is Studio 4C your aesthetic? I don't think they're my aesthetic. They're a little too art house for me, a little too like weirdness before interestingness. I do have the first 2 DVDs of Tweeny Witches, and I've seen at least the first one. I thought it was alright. Gonna do a Made in Abyss roundup sort of video. Yes, that has been the plan since the start. You think you will ever revisit Flip Flappers drunk or high, aka the best way to watch it? I might watch it again high. I tried watching some of it drunk, I think, and it didn't help. The thing about it is that when I am high, my opinions of things don't change. They just intensify. Like, I don't suddenly like things I wouldn't like otherwise, and I don't, basically I feel in general the same way about it. I just feel that feeling a lot more intensely. And, there is some stuff that, like, I outright would not watch not high that I've seen. Watching the meme review high is vastly superior to watching it sober. But I appreciated the meme review in the first place. Like, I appreciate why it's funny, even watching it sober, but like I actually feel it a lot more when I'm high. Incidentally, if any of you smoke weed, watch the meme review high. That shit is intense. It is fucking, the editing is just takes you on a journey. Usually when we start smoking, when we smoke weed, we start off with memes. Like, the first thing we do is watch some meme review, or like just type dank memes into YouTube and watch a bunch of shit. Last time we watched the first episode of Super Jail, that was mad intense. And then as we start to calm down, we put on like a Ghibli film. And the reason I watch Ghibli films is because there's a lot to think about in those. Like, every image gives you something to think about. When you don't have as much to think about, it becomes really boring to watch a show high. So something like Flip Flappers, I don't know if there's enough that I'm going to be thinking about, and I might just get really bored. Like, we tried watching Mawaru Penguin Drum, and we watched the first 2 episodes, and like, there's moments that are really good, but we were like, there's not enough going on a moment-to-moment basis to make this like a great high show. And it just so happens that what I love in media in the first place is density. So like, it's like, these are the same opinions I would have had of these shows anyways. It's just that it's, that much more intense. Will you go through your on-hold list in the same way you've gone through your other list, or will you do something else with it? The on-hold list is for finish or fail. That's what finish or fail is supposed to be. Finish or fail is supposed to be my on-hold list. But the reason I've been using it for every show in a year is that every show is my on-hold list. They're just not listed yet because I haven't tried them yet. But, they're all technically on hold. Hippo's video where he talks about trying to make it as an artist. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. I thought that was genius. That video was a very good analogy. The whole going through the woods thing was perfect. Getting the Switch. I might, if that Metroid game comes out and people say it's great, I'll probably buy a Switch. Right now, there's no game that I want enough on the Switch to justify buying it. Like, right now I don't even have a Wii U. And there's a few Wii U games I want to play, but there's not enough of them to justify buying that either. So, like, if they were to port some of those Wii U games over, which I don't know if they'll fucking do because Nintendo's retarded, if they made, like, the Mario Tennis Ultra Smash available on the Switch store or something, which they don't even have a fucking e-store yet on the Switch, it's not worth owning yet. It's not even a complete console yet, in my mind. Do you watch Games Done Quick? I know Nate says he was into it. I've seen some of it. I'll watch like a few minutes of it usually, but like I don't get invested enough. I'd rather just watch like specific speedruns. Maze Mal, here, I'll give you a link. It's actually pretty much, I mean, as far as we know, it's completely up to date because I went through with her and fucking made it that way. Because I do that with people. I have a thing for going through my anime list accounts and perfecting them, or getting them complete. She has not updated it 100% with the stuff that we've watched in the last few days, but there you go. She's got 91 completed anime. Not bad. But I'm sure there's lots of shit that she's seen like in the distant past and doesn't remember that's not on the list. Have you seen the Rick and Morty VR game? I watched a playthrough and there's tons of great content. Morty Canon Vegan. I have not. I saw the VR game that like Justin Roiland made that was not Rick and Morty related, but I've not seen a specific Rick and Morty one. Do you have any interest in the Tales of series? Tales of Symphonia was my favorite video game when I was 14. Since then, I have been in a perpetual state of, like, I think the Tales of games are just aimed for whoever's 14 that year. Like, the general, like, the narratives and everything are just so teenaged. Like, the way that it's written is so teenage that, like, I think that's why there's one every year, because it's a new 14-year-old playing it, if that makes sense. I could be wrong. I support you, Digi, in talking about your sex life. I prefer my romantic comedies to get serious and not just pussyfoot around in pussy and foot and pussy, you know. Why has everything got to be so prudish? Yeah, I agree. Speaking of sex, one of my friends had sex with their boyfriend's friend while drunk, and I've been discussing her options. So I guess the question is, what's your opinion on sex outside of your relationship or relationships in general? Not a good idea if you want to keep that relationship healthy, unless they're okay with it explicitly. My mind went to somebody, but I don't know if I should talk about them. But I know somebody who's in a three-way relationship right now. Best Red Letter Media member. Man, that's tough. Mike's kind of the obvious choice because he is Mr. Plinkett, and I know he can do like really great editing and analytical stuff. I think Jay is more entertaining to talk to on Half in the Bag, or to listen to on Half in the Bag. I love Jack Packard for his attitude. I love how smiley he is and how he's just like always happy-go-lucky. And Rich is obviously funny. Josh has never left much of an impression. So I don't know. Mike seems like the obvious answer, but I like all of them. They're fun guys. I think the Zaragoza OVAs finally all dropped. Those things got delayed like 50 million times. I find it weird people say it was too fast. It's 8 OVAs for one fucking volume. Gonna watch. Maybe. I didn't really care for the first episode, but maybe. I really liked Smash 4 on the Wii U, but I didn't like the format of the name. I hope that Switch version is called Five Brothers. That would be great. May better prepare for some friend requests. Yeah, she's gotten a few from fans finding her already, so. Fuck yeah, Symphonia is great. Governor General Door is my best meme, being 15 years old and playing games with friends. Yep, 15. See, there you go. Have you played Metroid Fusion or the new Samus Returns? I have played Metroid Fusion many times. I got it when it came out. I bought Samus Returns. I've only played a couple hours of it, if that. Like maybe an hour and a half. Haven't gotten back to it yet. I'm probably going to listen to or play it while like listening to podcasts. So, so far I have been lukewarm on it. So far I don't actually like it as much as Metroid 2. But I've got some impressions of it coming up in the next 2 weeks review podcast. But I'll give a more thorough review once I've finished it, probably. Do you think there's a general difference to people who dislike Evangelion versus older fans who like it? A generational difference. Yeah, I do think that the show can be harder to get into if you're older when you watch it for the first time. because I think it's harder to relate to the teenage characters. Though if you realize that you can relate to Misato, that might help. I don't know. That's too broad of a question. I found an unsubbed 5-minute episode ONA the other day and watched the first episode. I always get the feeling that the real otaku shit is obscure things that the West misses. I kind of agree. I think there's a lot of real shit that goes under the radar. I know exactly what you mean. A great example of that is, let me look up the name of this show. Kenritsuchikyu Boegun, or Prefectural Earth Defense Force. This was a 1-episode OVA from 1986 that is hilarious and great and very, like, otaku. Watch it. Watch Prefectural Earth Defense Force. You will definitely enjoy it, Tony, if you're looking for that kind of, like, the real shit. That is definitely what, like, that's what I felt when I watched it, was like, huh, this is the real shit that, should have been bigger. Has there been any opinion on a show that you've never been able to understand? As in other people's opinion of it? Plenty of times. And I think it's usually couched in they just have a weird mindset towards what they watch. But an opinion I've had on a show that I don't understand, I would say there's some I don't fully understand, but I can usually figure it out. Like, when I first talked about Ponyo in my top 10 anime video back in 2014, I said I have no idea, like, how to describe why I like this movie. And then now here I am in 2017, and my last video did exactly that. So eventually I figure it out. You watched Blue Blazes, right? Did you ever talk about it anywhere? If not, watch it. I did. I made a video about it. There's a video comparing Blue Blazes to Bakuman. What is the best furry anime? It is probably, I don't know, what's a furry anime I like? Look at my scores and go down until you find a furry anime. Have you heard of this upcoming anime movie that's like this kids show looking shit, animated like Inferno Cop? It has DC characters and it looks goddamn amazing. I have not heard of that. I don't know what the hell you're describing or talking about. Okay. In your Aesthetic is Narrative video in a recent rewatch, I noticed how the last segment about Cabaneri almost feels excessive and shoehorned in, but at the same time, it is the main hook into current anime in the video. Was it an attempt to make the video more accessible to your more casual audience on YouTube? While the first 2/3 of the video would work on their own for your regular audience, or do you think Cabaneri part is essential to the video? The thing is that the Cabaneri part was what inspired the video. The video was about Cabaneri and the Iron Fortress, because my previous video was the review of Cabaneri, where I basically said the show is dumb as shit, but gave it a good score because I liked the visuals and the narrative told by the visuals. So in the next video was supposed to be kind of a follow-up to that, explaining in more depth why I liked the show. That video, if you watch like the behind the scenes stuff I talked about at the time, was like the hardest script to write ever. I had like 10 different ideas for how to do it, and like 3 of them ended up in the video. So like a lot of that video is just like every different idea I had for how the video could be done just put into one. And that's why it's so long and so like disorienting. Boring ass question, but ever made a resume? I know you don't have much need to, but you never know. I don't think I have, and I don't know what would be on it if I did. What do you think of Lycan Rock Dusk from Versus Dawn and Midnight? I don't know any of the words you just said. Have you ever watched a show that you feel like you would have loved if you saw it a few years earlier, but left you feeling underwhelmed? Yes. Lots of shows, because when I was a teenager, I didn't have that much like taste. I just liked stuff that had action in it. So anytime I watch like a show with good action scenes but not much of a story, I always think, oh, I would have really liked this as a kid, but now I don't care about it. Or anything like super like visually outlandish, but like doesn't have much else going on. Probably would have liked it as a kid. I'm literally trying to find the trailer. It was posted in the Discord at some point. Have you watched any videos by Lollyconics? I have not. Never heard of him. What will you do with the extra stuff, anime, VHS, or DVD you want to get rid of? I'll probably sell it if I can find somewhere to sell it. Because if I do get rid of stuff, it'll be en masse, and doing giveaways is a pain in the ass and expensive. Found the link posting in the Discord live channel. I'll look at that later. Is Digi and May's Ota Cave Expedition coming back? I hope so. We haven't really had time for it because May's in school and working, and so we kind of we usually either do, when we have time, we usually either do a Digi and May or a Pokemon podcast, because we've been really enjoying the Pokemon podcast, and so we've been doing a lot of that. And then Digi and May is just a fun way to like have a dialogue and catch up on things, you know. Basically, it gives us an excuse to talk to each other at great length, and that's always fun. So yeah, like, we usually do those, but I would like Digi and May's Ota Cave Expedition to come back. If you were a Smash character, what would be your B moves? I don't fucking know. Holly Canalix is this anime shit poster on YouTube who's blowing up lately. He's a great, funny guy. Maybe I'll look at him. Thoughts on Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube? It's a fucking classic. It's awesome. I've played hundreds of hours of it. Will you watch My Hero Academia Season 2 when it ends this weekend? Finish or fail. When Finish or Fail comes, I'll probably look at it. Were you literally ever into Smosh? I was subbed to them up until their Honey Boo Boo video. I remember Smosh from early YouTube, because some of the first videos I ever saw on YouTube was their lip syncing to the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers themes. And I hated those videos because I wanted to do that. Like, I was really mad that they did it and not me. And I wanted to do the same, but I couldn't figure out how. I didn't know how to edit that. Like, I didn't know how to edit music onto a video, and that's the only reason I didn't do it. But I wanted to do my own. Is May paying her way through school on her own, or is she getting help, parents, loans, her job, etc.? I think it's a combination of her dad and loans. I don't know. I'm not like balls deep in her finances or anything. Okay, I've run out of questions, and we're coming up on 2 hours, so if anybody wants to give me just, like, if you have one good question you need to get out there. So on the Pokemon podcast, is the angle more that, haha, these movies are mostly shit, and we shit on them while being nostalgic, or is it more, hey, we actually enjoy these movies? It's definitely more the second, though it depends on the movie. The first 2 Pokemon movies are great. The third one is mediocre, and the fourth one fucking sucks. And those are the 4 we've talked about so far. So it really is, it's gonna be a roller coaster ride. Any anime crap you've bought recently? Yeah, I showed all those manga I bought at the beginning of the live stream, but nothing after that. Last cocktail you had was gin and Italian soda, an Italian lemonade soda that I had last night. Are your favorite anime videos in any order or just at random? They are pretty random. It's basically the order of which I have figured out what I want to say about them. Like, I had this whole idea because of the thoughts I had about Kill La Kill, specifically the way I talk about her looking up at the city and thinking, like, that I must conquer this. Like, that was the first thought I had that inspired the rest of this whole series. And then, like, Kill La Kill and Ponyo were the 2 that I had planned out from the beginning. And then I thought of an idea for Hunter x Hunter, so I'm not even sure what the 4th one's going to be yet. I have no idea. I have to do a lot of sitting around smoking tonight to figure that out. Are your favorite... Okay, 4th Pokemon movie is the first movie that made me cry when I was a kid. I never dared watching it again after that. It was like 12 years ago. Yeah, I understand why that movie would make you cry as a kid. If you watch it again, you'll just be like, oh, this movie is fucking dog shit. Like, it is a train wreck. It's like an unmitigated disaster of a film. It's really bad, which is, like, it's kind of shocking because the first 2 are really good, and the 3rd one, while mediocre, is very competently made. The 4th one feels like it got rushed and something got fucked up somewhere. Yeah, I'm glad you thought this was a good live stream. So Kill La Kill is Devu's favorite show, right? Is his opinion on it, why is it different? Why it's awesome different from yours? I think he feels pretty similarly about it, especially after the My Favorite Anime video. Like, he said after I gave him the script, he said, "I give you the official Understands Kill La Kill award." So I'd say that he is on the same page as me about that. Will you see Pokemon I Choose You in the theater? I don't even know what that is. Are they making like a new, like a new like Pokemon reboot or something? Like, I don't know what that is. All right, that's it. That's it for the live stream. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Remember, this will be still in the, like, wherever I posted it, it's still there on the Patreon page as an archive video, so it will still be there. And a remake of the first episode and more, and it's the origin of Ash. That's if it comes to a theater near me, I'll definitely see it. Pokemon movies haven't been in theaters for a good 15 years. All right, see y'all later. Catch you next month, and I'll try to get the content roundup possibly up tonight, and I definitely have to do the next behind the scenes video tonight, so catch me in more Patron exclusive content later tonight. Peace.